Law, an incredible profession, sought after by many. But there's a lot of different disciplines in the field of law, and it varies. So at Urban Wall Street I wanted to come up with an idea that spotlights the legal firms, the legal representations, and the different aspects and capacities of law. So this project is going to be called Esquire Unlimited. And my first guest, super brother that I'm proud of, a true brother of mine, Mr. Fritz Gerald Jean, he's the CEO of Mount Hope Housing Company here in the Bronx. And we're going to find out about some of the nuances that goes into running a corporation like this and developing the way he thinks. You're going to see some of the buildings, some of the properties, you're going to hear about his passion. Without further ado, my brother, Fritz Jean. Fritz.
What's up, man?
Man, it's been a pleasure. It's finally a pleasure. We've been talking about this for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've been watching you and always proud of you, and you've just been rocking even from the time you owned the spot in the club. Look at the club in Manhattan. I can't remember the name. It was up the block in the shadow.
Fusion,
right?
215.
Fusion 215. But we're here now at the Mount Hope Housing Company. You've been doing some great things and, for a while. But I'm going to find out about it. But before that, let me know, who is Fritz Jean, the attorney?
Yeah, I'm just a regular brother, you know. HU graduate, HU law, HU undergrad, Brooklynite. Got a passion for real estate. You know, and I speak to my young people and brothers that grew up with me. I always counsel them: buy your home, own your property. It's something I picked up from my grandmother. Build it in brick, stone, stay away from the wood. And I operate on a model that God is not making any more land. So for the brothers in the city, for the brothers overseas in Africa, hold on to your territory, develop your territory. The wealth is with the property. A lot of people talk about money. As long as you can see the money, you don't got no money.
Right.
It's the money that you can't see.
So let me ask you, before you became that knowledgeable about it, when did you know that real estate or law or real estate law is what you wanted to get into?
I always had a passion for real estate. Very handy with my hands. I guess my first job as a young cat was fixing flat tires. I was 15 years old. My boss owned the building, and he would tell me that it became a lot easier, when he owns the building, to run the business. A lot of people try to get the leasehold right now. Property is so rare that you got to lease up a lot of spaces. But a lot of people launching businesses, I always say, hey, you know what? If you can buy it, and then launch the business in it. That way, a landlord is not really your partner.
Right.
It's not a partner. So, fixing tires on Vanderbilt Avenue in Brooklyn at the age of 15 gave me that quick lesson. I was always strong in mathematics, so getting into law was a little strange for me because my forte was always math. Math kind of took me off the street. I excelled. I scored very well in the SAT. I actually landed an actuarial science scholarship off of College University in mathematics. So my strength was math. English was, like a weakness for me. But I did meet a young lady in undergrad who was an English major. And the two of us worked very well together. And I'm working with her, enhance my writing. And also I think I help enhance her logical reasoning capabilities. And she was very interested in the law, and that was my introduction to the law. So I sat for the LSAT, scored fairly well, got a scholarship to Howard University School of Law, and I think I did pretty well there. And so that was my introduction to law. To real estate, since I always had a love for real estate, it came natural when people say, hey, what area of the law you want to study, and real estate became that area.
Okay. So you started in real estate law?
When you graduate law school, and I was always a business-minded individual. I used to throw parties, you probably remember.
Yes.
I had a couple of businesses, selling chicken wings with my friends.
Yes.
And when I got into the law, because I did all right, I did decent, I received a couple of offers. And a lot of people think you can leave and make, 6 digits, and I'm happy with that. So I work with a private firm, and it's doing pretty well in Washington. And they assigned me to the Resolution Trust Corporation. And that's a unique corporation because it really, their job is to resolve the portfolios of banks that have failed.
Right.
And so I was the in-house counsel at the point, and I was in an opportune position to see a number of banks failing that had substantial real estate holdings. And I remember triggering auctions across the country for property selling, you know, maybe 10 cents on a dollar. You know, the Washington, D.C. area, the U Street area, properties there were selling for less than $300,000. And I couldn't find enough of my brothers to say, hey man, pick some up, pick some up. I had one brother that, rest in peace, Todd Johnson.
Yes,
him. You know, he was very successful in one of the bid. He picked up a huge block on 14th and U Street. I think the upset price was about $300,000. And it would have been a big move, you know, because the value at the time was $980,000. This is before the subway came through. But he was not able to close on it, so that was a big loss, you know. So the love for real estate, when I left DC, came back to New York, and decided to launch my own practice. And I started my acquisition, you know, first building in Canarsie area, then building in the Crown Heights section, and then ultimately doing gut rehabs downtown Brooklyn. The unique thing about property is that, you know, it's like surfing. You know, you invest a substantial amount of work and you kind of wait for the value to kind of take you, you know, and that's the uniqueness, you know, that money that you see, you invest in it, and eventually the equity rises. And that's really the value that you want. The unique thing is Jay-Z said it best in his record. You know, he got a chance to buy a building in Dumbo. Right. I think $2 million. Now it's worth $26 million. And being in Brooklyn is unique. And a lot of the inner cities, you know, Washington D.C., the concept is the same. You know? So it's not real estate is not something that you get in if you want to get rich today. Right. You know, if you're talking real estate, you're talking 15 years down the line. You just got to find a way to hold on to it. Right. So the love is there. You know, I can talk about real estate forever. I know this. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to cut from the office space.
We're going to walk out into the Bronx. You know, I grew up in the Bronx, and so it's a beautiful thing. You're in my backyard doing this amazing thing. So we're going to walk up to some of the Bronx, check it out, this area, this Walton Avenue area of the Bronx, and then, you know, talk about some of the properties. Maybe you can see one of the properties and really see what's really happening with this expansion here in the Bronx. Esquire Unlimited, my man Fritz Gerald Jean. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you. So we're back, Esquire Unlimited. We're in the Bronx, in the what section? Mount Hope. Mount Hope. You know, I grew up in the Bronx too, and I'm here with my brother, CEO Fritz Jean of the Mount Hope Housing Company, and his right-hand man, Jamel. So we just walking through the Bronx right now, you know, but Fritz, you didn't grow up in the Bronx, right?
I grew up in Brooklyn.
Grew up in Brooklyn. So what made you start with the Bronx? What made you choose the Bronx, brother?
Bronx is magical, man. You know? Not to diss Brooklyn. Right, right. But Bronx put me in touch with my people. Helped put my feet on the ground. Right. You know, Mount Hope at one point was my client as an attorney. You know, they ran into some issues with the city. I came in. Initially, I volunteered on the board. I had to step in and volunteer my services here. Gotcha. And then eventually they made me the executive director for the organization. So always loved the Bronx. Used to hang out in the Bronx back in the days, particularly on the construction. And it's magic in the Bronx. There's a lot of opportunities in the Bronx. Wow. The Bronx is growing, baby. This is where you want to be. So now how long have you been in the Bronx? Been in the Bronx now going probably well over almost 18 years now. 18 years. So that first property, what was it like acquiring that first property in the Bronx? Well, I didn't acquire it, the organization acquired. I worked with the organization, you know, initially. So, you know, the Bronx initially was not, I mean, the organization has been acquiring property since 1986, 87. This is a time when the Bronx didn't look like it does now. Right, right. You know, it was a red-eye district, and only people that's close to the city can really appreciate it, you know. Right. But there are things that some of the board members knew they had to do. You had to have a certain nerve to really come in, speak to people on the street, And you can't, when you got to speak their language,
right.
Okay, and ultimately try to convince them that this way is not a good way. We work closely with the 46th precinct. We work closely with elected officials to kind of turn the area around. You know, so we're able to change this area around. These buildings were abandoned at one point. We have a business road on Burnside Avenue.
This is one of your buildings here, correct?
One of our buildings right here, across the street, also diagonally across the street, and also further down the block. If you had occasion to drive down this block, maybe, you know, a few years back, you know, you'd be approached on a regular basis for commodities, you know, on a different level. But things have changed a little bit. You know, we have some pretty good and strong elected officials. You know, they care about the Bronx. Most of them are homegrown Bronx. Good number of them grew up on the street. Well, not grew up on the street, though, very familiar with it. They keep that rapport going. And when you combine that with a certain measure of intelligence, you have the magic. Hence, you got the magic in the Bronx.
Now, Jamal, how long you been a part of this establishment doing big things with my brother?
As long as Mr. Jean's been here.
Yeah?
Yeah. This is my community. This is where I live at and where I work at. I'm the field supervisor for the Mount Hope Housing Company. And also I make sure that all the repairs are done in the tenants building. They got heat, hot water. Make sure there's no damages in the apartment. Stop leaks and floods and fires if necessary. But I also work with the children in the community. And one of my greatest things is to make sure children have a vision so they can get a chance to get on the ground level of getting knowledge of themselves so they can better themselves for a better future. Because once they get a good education, they can get a good job. They get a good job, they can live in a good neighborhood. And in a good neighborhood right now is Mount Hope Housing Company.
Now, you know, it's all about, you talk about the ownership and taking onus in our communities, giving back. And other people speak to how other ethnic groups or races stick together and they own their communities so they can build and give back. I like the fact that this brother Jamal, you're from this community, so you understand and know how important it is to be integral in what the community is going to need. And Fritz, you talk about that, how ownership is so important. And a lot of times people think ownership is actually something tangible. Sometimes ownership is just taking pride and stock in where you're from. Would you agree?
Right. Well, it's both. You know, both is tangible and also it's a state of mind. Right. You know, you are part of any environment, you know, that you live in. So whatever it is that you're willing to accept, you know, that environment becomes it. You know, so there's certain things people won't settle for. There's certain things that, you know, they'll make happen. Okay, big man. You know, so yeah, but that ownership is key because there's an economic twist to that ownership.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of people come into your community because they see the value of what you have. The unfortunate thing is a lot of times you don't see the value of what you have. And because you don't see the value of what you have, whatever short-term investment you have to make, you think that sort of outweighs whatever little value you think you have.
Right.
And so you don't make it, you know. But somebody from the outside who recognizes the value, what they can in fact make, that's when we talk about the economic twist. See, a lot of people talk about gentrification, so that investment comes in a lot of different ways. Average means income, resources coming from the government entities, okay, subsidies, who will capitalize on that. So really the gentrification is the end result. Okay, this is one of our buildings we put online back in 2009 for homeownership opportunity. But that building got hit by the financial market, so we had to convert it to rental housing with tax credit, and then ultimately transfer it over to another not-for-profit group that still maintains it. You know, but that economic investment and that attachment to the community is key. But the most important thing is realizing or recognizing the value that you have. If you don't recognize that in anything else, you're going to lose it.
True that. Now I know you have a community center, so we're about to go check that out. And to keep watching, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's all about ownership in our communities. But for my people out there, lawyers, Esquire, it's beyond the courtroom. It's not about a shirt and tie. There's so many different things you can do. And you're learning about that just a little bit right now. So just keep watching. We're going to go check out the community center they're developing and learn some more about that. You heard? My man Fritz Jean. People in the community love him. That's what it's all about.
All right, girl. Let's make it happen, baby.
So now we're standing in front of the Mount Hope Community Center, you know, overseen by the Mount Hope organization and my brother CEO Fritz Jean. So Fritz, right here in the community, how long has it been here?
This is the Mount Hope Community Center. We got final CFO in 2010. This was a headache, you know, to get online. First, the financing structure. It was probably the first project in New York City that used New Market Tax Credit. The city wasn't familiar with it. Now they use it for all the other projects. And then on the completion end, on this side, we had a 3/8 encroachment on city property. So they give us a real hard way to go, but thank goodness we got a strong borough president, good city council person, so the borough president did some pushing, and then the city worked it out, you know, and we finally opened, got the final CFO. So now we have classrooms in there, the classrooms in attendance, a charter school. Upstairs we got facilities for seniors. We also have job placement facilities on the 4th floor. Then we have our administrative offices on the 3rd floor. This center is state of the art. It features like 3 roof gardens. Right. You know, you stop moving in the classroom, the lights go out automatically unless we preset it. So it's really a nice setup. These are our copiers going in, you know, top notch. So things are moving.
Now, in the community, how important is this center to this residence? Man, now you're from this community, so you know, how important is this community center here?
It's very important because this gives children a safe haven where they can come to and interact and be at peace. They ain't got to deal with bullying, they ain't got to deal with confusion or nonsense. It's a very peaceful atmosphere. They also have security in it as well. But the staff is pretty hands-on, and the children are gravitated to the community center because it's like a new big ambiance up in the community, like a black robe, you know what I'm saying, that's smelling all night. Everybody just gravitate towards it. We had some programs here where we did some at-risk training for children in dysfunctional families, the Positive Seeds Youth Community Room, and the computer lab that's in there, state of the art, where we taught the children how to interact with computers and social media, not the world star, the negative thing, but we showed them the components and how computers operate and how to use it for research, for homework and different assignments that they had to have with a positive twist.
Also, for the past 5 years, we ran our GED program.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have dance programs in here for these kids. It's a nice place. We also partnered with city government. We had the warrant forgiveness program. It was an excellent turnout. This is where the DA's office, the NYPD, as well as legal aid, you know, pulled together, converted this into a courtroom, literally. Full courtroom. We had judges, and we had lines going around the corner, people with warrants, you know, low-class warrants, you know, drinking on the street, you know, illegal U-turns, you know, if they missed that, you know, if they missed the court date, there's a warrant. So we want to wipe that out. So they actually showed up. We served about 500 people. We vacated about 300 plus warrants. It was beautiful, man. So a lot of people really, you know, the DA's office was very grateful that, you know, they partnered up with us. And it's pretty good. What this does not have is really exercise areas. We don't have a gym, we don't have a swimming pool, but around the corner in the back there's a phase 2 to it. Now that phase 2 has full-fledged basketball court and also full-fledged exercise room. You access it through this entrance right here. We partnered up with Preceded Construction, which is a viable construction company in the Bronx. They've been in the Bronx, you know, for a very long time, over 40 years. They built some of the most immaculate buildings around the Bronx as well as Brooklyn. Well, they partnered up with us. We had to salvage the vacant lot out of foreclosure, so that was very complex litigation. A hedge fund had picked up the loan. The company had ran into some financial issues, so we navigated it for about a 4-year period until we, you know, structured an exit. And the bank was, well, you know, bank worked with us, you know, the lawyers worked with us, you know, and they agreed to settle at cost. And now we have potentially a 104-unit building going up with the gymnasium, and the way the finance is structured, the proceeds of the net operating income from the building after reserve contribution, building maintenance, will go into supporting the gym and the community center. So, you know, God willing, over the next couple of years we'll have a full-fledged community center funded by the 104-unit building, and the kids will be in there playing basketball off the park, you know.
Before we get out of here, I gotta just take it to that one more business question. That was, how should I say, that advice. Because one of the things, you know, with Urban Wall Street was always want to each one and teach that next generation.
Right.
there's an aspiring Fritz Gerald. There's a young cat running through the Brooklyn or running through the Bronx, and they want to know how they want to know how to get in real estate. They have dreams of owning this. What's some of the precautions, I should say, or steps, prerequisites, not precautions, probably is precautions too, but prerequisites individuals should take if they think they want to run an organization like the Mount Hope Housing Company?
All right, well, it's twofold. One is if you're trying to acquire property, it's a simple combination. Not that many of us value credit. You know, so first mistake you don't make is mess up your credit, because it can take you years to straighten out that credit. That credit is more important than the money that you have, okay? So with your job, no matter how much you're being paid, if you have a viable credit, you know, that job, that credit can actually help the situation out and help you gain a mortgage, a loan from the bank, and qualify you for a home. So that credit is key. Number one, consistency of work, you know? Basically, do your job. You know, don't take any shortcuts. I realize shortcuts always turn out to be long cuts, right. You know? They either end you somewhere, but you stay committed, you stay doing the work that you got to do, then you build credibility. Credibility in what you do, credibility in who you are. Even if you're not getting paid what you need to get paid, build that credibility. It's going to pay off in the long run, almost guaranteed. So those two combinations, I would advise any young person coming up. Don't mess up your credit early. Work hard, you know, and I'm not just saying it, but do work hard. And the first opportunity you get, buy a piece of property. It's not that difficult. Save up, help family help you, get that co-signer, buy that piece of property, get away from paying the rent.
Okay. Listen, it's always gems. Esquire Unlimited, as I said at the beginning, there's a vast array of disciplines when it comes to law, and it's a lot of different things individuals who have law degrees get into and involve in and evolve. So if you think you want to become a lawyer, or you think you want to get into real estate, or whatever the case may be, know that you can do whatever you want. Your dreams are limitless. So if you become an Esquire, become an Esquire. And be unlimited in what you do, like my brother Fritz Gerald. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Hey, true.
Take care, guys. They cheer in the house.